Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into one of the fastest growing problems on the planet, electronic waste. But this is also a story about a massive opportunity, how a national crisis could actually become a strategic gold mine.
So let's start with a question. What on earth could your old phone possibly have to do with the future of clean energy? I know, it sounds a little random, right? But the answer connects a huge toxic problem with an even bigger opportunity. It's a story about what we throw away and what we're going to desperately need for our future.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this opportunity, we first have to face the challenge. And trust me, it's a big one. We are not talking about some small pile of old electronics here. We are talking about a literal mountain of e-waste. Just look at that number, 1.6 million tons. It's kind of hard to even picture that, right? Well, think of it this way. That's the weight of over 300,000 elephants. This makes India the world's third largest generator of e-waste. And you know what? As we all get more gadgets, that mountain is just growing and fast. But here's where it gets really concerning. Where does all this stuff actually go? Well, a whopping 90% of it is handled by the informal sector. And that usually means it's being broken down in unsafe ways, which is a huge risk for people's health and for the environment. So what are we even talking about when we say e-waste? Well, it's pretty much everything you'd expect. Old computers, phones, even broken solar panels and rejects from factories. The real problem is what's inside them. It's like a toxic cocktail of lead, mercury, and other nasty stuff that can poison our soil and water if we're not careful. You see, this isn't just about managing garbage. It's actually a problem with two heads. We've got a waste crisis on one hand and a resource crisis on the other.
And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the one side, you've got this massive, growing pile of toxic waste. But on the other, well, India is 100% dependent on other countries for the key minerals it needs for things like clean energy. We're talking lithium, cobalt, nickel. This puts the country in a really tough spot, you know? It's vulnerable to whatever happens in the global market.
And let's be clear, these aren't just some obscure elements. They are absolutely crucial. They're the building blocks for the future. You want solar panels? You need silicon. Wind turbines? You need neodymium for the magnets. And electric cars? Their batteries are full of lithium, nickel, and cobalt. Without these, India's green energy dreams, they just don't happen. All right, so we've got a huge waste problem and a huge resource problem. It feels like a dead end, right? But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if the solution to one problem is actually the other problem? And this is the big what if. What if that mountain of toxic trash wasn't actually trash at all? It's a simple question, but it completely flips the script. It turns a massive problem into a massive asset. And that brings us to this incredible idea, urban mining. It's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of digging into the earth for minerals, we dig into our city's trash. We stop seeing e-waste as garbage and start seeing it as a gold mine, a rich domestic source of the very same minerals India pays a fortune to import. Now, an idea this big, this game-changing, it needs more than just wishful thinking. It needs a plan. And that's exactly what's happening. India is putting together a real blueprint to make this urban mining revolution a reality. And here it is. India's critical mineral game plan. It's a multi-step mission, and I want you to look closely at step 3, champion recycling of critical minerals. It's not an afterthought. It is a core central part of the whole strategy, right up there with traditional mining and buying mineral assets abroad. And this isn't just some vague policy statement. We're talking about concrete goals here. The mission is aiming for a recycling capacity of 400 kilotons, and they want to kickstart so much innovation that it leads to 1,000 new patents by 2031. That's serious ambition. So how do you make this happen? Well, you put your money where your mouth is. The government has approved a massive incentive scheme. We're talking 1,500 crore rupees just to get this new recycling industry off the ground. And the cool thing is, this isn't just future talk. The research and development is already underway. All across India, scientists are figuring out how to pull valuable metals out of e-waste, how to recycle old lithium-ion batteries. They're even turning industrial waste into clean hydrogen fuel. It's pretty amazing stuff. Okay, so this is all great, but what does it actually look like in practice? Let's zoom in on something we've all probably had at some point, an old computer hard drive.
You might not know this, but tucked away inside every single one of these is a tiny, super powerful magnet. And that little magnet is made with something called neodymium, which is a critical rare earth element. It's the kind of stuff you need to build powerful motors for electric vehicles and generators for wind turbines.
So how do they get that valuable stuff out? Well, it's a pretty clever process. They basically dismantle the drive, take out the magnet, demagnetize it, and then use chemistry to dissolve it and separate all the different elements. And what comes out at the end is pure recovered neodymium, ready to be used all over again in a new piece of tech. I love this quote. Critical minerals are fast becoming the oil of the 21st century. And that really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Back in the day, it was all about oil. Now it's about these minerals. So for a country to have its own supply, that's not just good for the environment, it's a huge deal for its economic and national security. And that brings us right back to the beginning. Could India's biggest waste problem actually become its greatest strategic asset? It's a huge question. But by embracing this idea of urban mining, by turning those electronic mountains into urban mines, India has a real shot at solving a dangerous problem while building a stronger, more sustainable future for itself. The treasure, as it turns out, might have been in the trash heap all along.